Yo, 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 yo. What's good with it? It's the homie Mac. Music, art, culture, knowledge. Reporting live from the Dogon. Each one teach one, peace and love. Subscribe to the YouTube channel 82 Kings. Thumbs up, give me the likes. Hit that subscribe button. Sometimes YouTube, I don't know. YouTube be on some other stuff with me sometimes, man. I'll be under the shadow ban. They take me off, then they put me back on. I don't know. But yeah, I guess we got a lot of heat over here. At MACK TV, music, art, culture, knowledge. Again, thumbs up, give me the likes. Thumbs up, give me the likes. Tell your mother. Subscribe to the YouTube channel 82 Kings again. Check me out on Instagram at MACKTV_82. This is a session of Mac Minutes. Da, 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 da. So let's get right to it. So there's been a big uproar over something that is called critical race theory. Pretty much at its core, but before I go there, the uproar or the disdain that has been shown from a lot of U.S. citizens, specifically white U.S. citizens, white Americans, they've been giving a lot of pushback to critical race theory. Again, essentially, the premise of critical race theory is essentially studying the social interactions between white people and non-white people in this country. There's something that Napoleon Bonaparte used to say. He said, "History is a fable. History is a fable agreed upon." Somebody else said, "All history is bluff or buff, whatever." A lot of people feel as though history itself is baseless. It is propaganda. It is empty. It has no lasting value. But my contention is that history is actually a weapon. When things are taught without an agenda, other than just trying to educate people and enlighten people, I define education. Mind you, I was a history major. I got my degree in history and public policy from Georgia State. I would define education as giving people the ability to think for themselves, teaching people how to think critically, teaching people to question things, teaching people. It's more than just facts, information, and data. It is equipping people essentially again on how to think critically and how to navigate through this world. Because we know, what is it? There's just, I think people get caught up in just academic information, and it needs to go beyond. Education needs to go beyond that. It needs to get people, again, teaching them how to think critically, teaching them how to analyze things, teaching people how to think for themselves, teaching people how to be analytical and investigative. Yeah. And as a history major, someone who had a degree in history from a fine institution of higher learning, that is Georgia State, I learned that, again, history is a weapon. It is something that can be used as a tool of liberation. I think who was it? I think it was William Faulkner. He said the past is never in the past. And I always took that to mean, you can learn from the past. A lot of the social realities that exist today, they essentially are the progeny of the past. Today is built upon tomorrow. You can make a better tomorrow, essentially by looking back at the past. You can learn from your mistakes and move forward and better navigate through your present. And, let me get off my soapbox. With critical race theory, again, critical race theory essentially is, I would say it's white supremacy 101. The kickback from a lot of white people, they feel as though it's divisive. They feel as though that it foments dissension between races of people. They feel as though it contextualizes America in a bad light. They feel as though, again, it's infinitely divisive. that it is propaganda. It's not real. Uh, they feel as though critical race theory, again, essentially bruise dissension. That it doesn't paint America in a good light, and essentially that it gives America a bad name. It speaks to systemic and institutional racism and oppression that somehow these white people think never existed. I wonder how many of them actually thought, well, our founding fathers were saying liberty and justice for all. They owned slaves. They owned enslaved people. I don't want to say slaves anymore. Slaves, I think, is very myopic, short-sighted. It puts our ancestors in a box. They were more than slaves. So enslaved people. They had enslaved people while they were preaching freedom, justice, and equality. I think that's hypocrisy at its finest. The thing is this. I think America was built on some really high-minded, great ideals and principles. Freedom of speech, freedom of expression, the pursuit of life, liberty, justice, happiness. Pursuit of happiness, rather. America essentially being a melting pot, a place where people can come and grow and coexist. These are very, it wasn't, there was no, on paper, there was no tyranny or oppression. There was no crown or king that was a tyrant and oppressive. And when you look at the Federalist Papers, just different documentations that we had, it was always, we can defend our country against enemies foreign and domestic. It gave room for human error. The infrastructure of this country, the way it was designed, they knew that things could be changed, things could be, deconstructed and organized to work in a better, function in a better way. I think that the founding fathers were genius in that light. Just really wanting people to be free. But the thing is, what you had, and the thing is with critical race theory, a lot of people, I think they want to make it black and white, when really I say it's white supremacy 101 because it goes beyond friction between white and black people. It talks about things that happened to the Native Americans, Manifest Destiny, the Cherokee Removal Act, where essentially, I want to say Andrew Jackson signed it, where basically he was like, the natives, yeah, y'all were here before us, but we got the biggest balls, man, and we're gonna take y'all out. Might is rarely right, but when you have the might, a lot of people feel as though their intentions are right and for the greater good. My thing is, you can learn from the past, and I know I'm trying to put myself in a white person's shoes, I guess essentially it would feel like oppression in some ways, critical race theory, because I'm used to always having privilege. So for you to actually call me out on my BS, that can make me feel convicted. And a lot of times when people feel convicted, their ego and pride is challenged. Their ego and pride comes into question, and it's easier just to put up your middle finger and just complain and scream reverse racism, as opposed to actually taking a step back and analyzing the systems and institutions that exist within this country, and to what end have they served? To what end have they served people? There is a whole mountain, a litany of things systemically through policy that have been created to keep non-white people in a perpetual subjugated class. I just gave you one: Cherokee Removal Act. You had Jim Crow laws, vagrancy laws. Where do I start? Even white women felt oppressed, which is really interesting, which gave rise to feminism. But that's a whole nother conversation. It's looking in that mirror can be hard, man. And I think we're living in a time where a lot of white people's privilege has been put into question. A lot of the social realities that exist, like why do certain people, why is a racial wealth gap as such? Why are 73% of white Americans homeowners, and I think barely, not even 50, like well below 50% of black people are homeowners? Why is there so much unequal distribution of wealth? Is it that white people were just were they just that much smarter than all non-whites? Or did they create institutions to help them sustain their power? I don't care. You may not like me. You may cut this off, but I don't care what anyone says. This country was designed with the underlying premise of white men owning property and having money. Owning property, land, and having money. This whole infrastructure has been built from a white male hegemony. It is what it is. I'm willing to listen to somebody that can show me something different. But just from when I look at the way this justice system has served out, the way policies have been written, even if you look at drug sentencing, how if you got caught with powder cocaine, the sentencing was not as hard as opposed to being caught with crack cocaine. And that has racial implications. Most white people, I'm not gonna say most white people do coke. I'm not gonna say that. But by the numbers, more white people do cocaine. It was considered a wealthy man's high, a rich man's high, as opposed to black people who were notably known to smoked crack. So it's like there's these little codified languages, codified laws, these really furtive policies, clandestine policies. It makes no sense how black people make up 13% of this country's population, but make up the majority of this country's prison population. There are more black men incarcerated in America than women of all races across the globe. How does that happen? How does that happen? Social realities do not just exist at a whim. There are conditions that are created to keep people at a certain at a certain caste. It's kind of like what Dr. Martin Luther King said. Capitalism and racism, they intersect, and these two things can be harmful, have proven to be harmful. Again, my contention has always been a capitalist society cannot exist. A capitalist society cannot exist without an impoverished group of people and a criminalized group of people. Somebody somewhere, and show me somewhere on this globe where that has not existed. It's kind of like Frederick Engels said, all history is class struggle. Haves, have-nots. That dichotomy, that delineation has always subsisted. Someone's got to get screwed for this system to work. And it's like, even I think about a conversation that Huey P. Newton was having with Bobby Seale, and they were trying to figure out, what are we fighting? Are we fighting racism or are we fighting capitalism? But I think the synthesis that they came through, the synthesis or the conclusion that they came through that conversation is that both capitalism and racism serve one another. It's almost like the racism lays the foundation for the capitalism, or the capitalism profits off the racism. But yeah, these are just my thoughts. It's a hard pill to swallow. You grow up, you're little Johnny, growing up in middle America. You're from where? You're from the heartland. You're from Omaha, Nebraska, or somewhere in Iowa, Illinois, Kansas. Your father was a military man. You grew up in a military family, and you're given this propaganda about America. And my thing is, I love the promise. It's kind of like Stan Verrett said. I love the promise of America. America has not always came through on its promises, but I love the promise of America. I'm proud to be an American. My ancestors built this country brick by brick. A lot of institutions to this day subsist because of the toil, the blood, sweat, and tears that my ancestors laid. I'm not going anywhere. Sorry, not sorry. I come from a military family. My father served. I have cousins that served. I have relatives that fought in Vietnam. I have relatives that fought in World War I and World War II. It's kind of like Dr. John Henry Clark said. The black man is one of the greatest warriors on this planet. And we have laid our lives down for this country. So I'm an American. I'm proud. I'm proud to be an American. I acknowledge my African lineage. Phenotypically, I'm West African. I don't deny that. I'm not so full of American patriotism to deny from whence I came. Some people may feel some kind of way about it, but hey, it is what it is. And I think a lot of times, America has become so inherently racist that racism is actually hidden or masked as patriotism. But yeah, critical race theory. My thing is, let's have these tough conversations. Let's have these tough conversations about race, the intersection of race and class. How can we truly, all the ideals that are written in all these, the Constitution, just different federal papers that have been written, the idea, the ethos of American ideology, these high-minded principles. Can we really just take a step back, have honest conversations, and see, how did we get to this point, and how can we right the wrongs? But what they say, denial is not just a river. But yeah, let's be honest. Let's not be disingenuous. Let's have honest, transparent conversations. And instead of getting mad, let's look within, let's look in the mirror, and figure out how we can right the wrongs. It's only right. God bless America. Signing out from the Dogon.